You know you can't get rid of me until you finish your Patreon reviews, so you're reviewing Desperate Living. It's in the DVD player. Off you go, my dancing monkey.
Why, oh why, did I create a minion that I can't hurt?
To amuse the audience, because you're boring as shit. Also, you may have been drunk.
I'm gonna fucking kill you one day. Greetings, channel viewers!
This is from Baltimore icon John Waters, the godfather of weird camp and film. It's from 1977 and it's one of the few 70s Waters projects that didn't involve Divine. His muse and the demo version for one day would become a bit bombshell. Waters' film career can basically be split into 3 parts.
4 if you count the most recent one where he's not actually making films.
You have the early days with micro budgets and primarily short films of varying length. You have the mid part that he's most famous for, feature films, Divine, Singing Assholes and Shit Eating, but then you have the late section that begins with Hairspray where the camp is turned up, the disgust is turned down, and everything becomes a little bit more harmless. Now, I don't think his late section is the best, but it does include my favourite John Waters film, Cecil B. Demented. Oh, how I wish they requested that instead.
Power to the people who punish bad cinema!
Power to the people to punish bad cinema indeed. Anyway, this is Desperate Living, where for once it's the audience that feels like they ate the shit. We open on a very esoteric angle in Monty Python's Dirty Fork sketch, where we can't just not see anyone involved, but all the dialogue's been covered by some weird Breakfast at Tiffany's sounding music.
Finally, a Ratatouille movie I can get behind!
I have no idea who's holding the camera, but it looks like their Parkinson's is playing up. John Waters presents The Wind in the Willows, The Next Generation. Okay, hideous 70s fashions, check. Martin Lawrence, very check. A bunch of kids wasting time when they could be beating each other with sticks? So check and join the Warsaw Pact.
You must realize, Bosley,
That those 3 girls you picked out are hardly angels. I mean, none of them even have wings. These 2 men badly need larger suit jackets, but that's not what they're discussing. Bosley is the milk-toasty husband of the main character, Peggy, who is the very picture of mental health.
I knew they'd trying to kill me in my own home!
Unfortunately, it's by Piero Manzoni.
Dr. Evans, the road to mental health is
Built on vibrators and clitoral baths if it's the right decade. Which it's not. Oh, poo. Both of these guys act like they studied acting in PSAs, warning you about bad acting.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mrs. Gravel. I'll pay for the window out of my allowance.
How about my life? Do you get enough allowance to pay for that?
Your life's worth what exactly? $5 after inflation? Oh wait, she needs to have a quick vase break. That's better.
Go home to your mother! Tell her this isn't some communist daycare center!
That's a pity. Give it the right name, like Tiny Trotskys, and you can make a mint. And then not keep any profit because we're all in it together, comrade! This film looks amazing. It's as though someone in the mid-90s made a film to take the piss out of the 70s and then used that piss to stain the film stock.
You've dialed the wrong number! Sorry! What good is that? How can you ever repay the 30 seconds you have stolen from my life?
Peggy Gravel, unusually well-mannered call center customer.
Griselda, my life is in danger. Please, don't let anybody hurt me.
Griselda is what happens when Zelda rescues herself from Ganon and returns to eat him in revenge. Life is exciting in the Gravel house. The kids are attempting to get the audience arrested as sex offenders.
Breathe in.
And reenacting deleted scenes from New Who Series 2.
You could be pregnant, Beth.
Son, I also assume you could be pregnant because I have a spotty understanding of how that whole thing works. I'm not too opposed to this freak out though. Untroubled kids stick to Capaldi's era. Oh, Griselda's drinking the job. That sounds about right.
thirsty, Griselda? I thought you had been stealing my liquor.
Anyone who works for your wife should have open access to a distillery.
Griselda's been stealing more than the liquor. She's got a checkbook as the lottery ticket, and worst of all...
2 rolls of toilet paper.
Oh no. Not the toilet paper. Does her indecency know no bounds?
Well, I see you're finally here. Beth is pregnant.
The days before Xanax were dark times indeed.
Am I living in hell?
No, Peggy Gravel's house, but close enough.
Have I gone straight to hell?
And this is a John Waters film. No one goes straight to anything. It's more like a helter-skelter to hell. The situation goes from bad to amusing when Bosley follows Peggy up to the bedroom and she starts beating him to death.
Try it!
You know, some people pay good money for that. So with him dead via Rikishi, they decide to leave the kids and escape the law, and so begins the long journey from upper crust Baltimore to the slums of Mortville for Griselda and Louise. I wonder where the Grand Canyon is. Between Griselda's legs! Mortville's a shanty town somewhere beyond the Baltimore city limits where there are few laws, even less morals, and most people are insane. So it's like Baltimore's holiday home in the hills. The French makes it sound classy though. Before the Revolutionary War it was called Corpse Hamlet. It's probably still there today, only now it's home to the best heroin that side of the Potomac.
Look at those disgusting trees stealing my oxygen.
This woman is a one-person internet. And so much beige in one place, I swear. The 70s were like the 60s, left out in the sun for 10 years. Anyway, the cops are already on their tracks. They can't be out looking for them yet, so is this Minority Report or racism? Or can the cop recognize two John Waters characters when he sees them?
I know who you are.
John Waters' characters can smell their own. He threatens them with arrest unless they sit and watch his striptease before highwaymanning their underwear.
Come on, take off your underpants. Hand them over.
I have never been so mortified in my entire life.
Honey, the film is very young.
Ooh.
He just loves how it feels against his dick. Chirping.
They're tight, but they sure feel good.
Especially if he's sexually assaulting someone while wearing them. But this is Baltimore PD, so I'm sure he could probably get away with doing much worse to at least half of these two. The cops giving us an early example of what would later be called YouTube acting. This whole scene's kind of like the inverse of the Pink Angels lingerie-based police harassment scene.
What the hell is this?
A brassiere.
It's a maiden form, and it's mine.
Give it to me.
Crossed with Gary Busey's scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
May I have a little kiss before you go? I'm very lonely here.
If it was actually written by Gary Busey.
I'd like to stick my whole head in your mouth and let you suck out my eyeballs.
Well, at least we now know how Jimmy Screamer Claus happened. Okay, Peggy and Griselda, now's your chance. Sneak away while he gives birth to a giant walking cock. They soon make it into Mortville, and a fun game to play while watching this is... Fun! Is trying to spot the actual homeless people among John Waters' friends and acquaintances. You see, they built the town miles from Baltimore and bust homeless people out there with the promise of... I'm not exactly sure what. Besides the chance to meet James Randi. One of this film's main flaws is that it's constructed in such a way to create a juxtaposition between Baltimore and the normal world and Mortville being full of crazies. But, thanks to John Waters being John Waters, the only differences between them are aesthetic and who exactly is in charge.
Look around you. It's a village of idiots.
Can't you act normal? Just act normal for a change.
Hey, I thought you wanted to blend in. Anyway, they decide to stay at the hotel run by lesbian magician Harley Quinn here.
Got money on you?
I am a very wealthy woman. Yeah, and I'm Sybil Shepherd.
Well, you were much hotter in the 70s, Miss Shepherd. This is Mole, who's deeply angry and appears to be from an alternate reality version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where they play a vampire called Dyke. How enchanting, their room's got a moat! And they even left a Jim DeMint on the pillow.
Will he be removed? Yeah, I'll get the stiff out of here.
Most of the cast of this are the Indigo Girls if they came from the wrong side of the tracks. Anyway, Mole takes a lottery ticket because the plot needs to happen. Mole's actually not a lesbian, they're basically John Waters' idea of a trans man. I.e., someone who'll go to horrible lengths to get a cock and only kind of doesn't identify as a woman. You see, John Waters' idea of a trans man appears to be a psychotic turbo-lesbian who's threatened by his bisexual girlfriend's interest in cock. One of the best things about watching older John Waters films is seeing how what is taboo has changed over time. Random queer shit like Mole's gender identity were included in the film as a way to shock the audience of the 70s, and cultural norms have shifted so far in that area that it's now shocking because of how offensively it's done rather than what it is. Overall, it's like a weirdly pleasant form of cognitive dissonance. It's a bit like those films A Star and Polite Society is a planet that orbits around it. It's always considered offensive, but exactly why it's offensive is always changing. If anyone ever points this out to John Waters, I'm sure he'll be very proud. So yeah, while there's some sort of weird asterisk next to Mole's gender identity, mainly because this is a John Waters film, I'm just going to call him he. Partially because it's polite, and partially because he looks like he'd try to climb out of the screen and murder me while I edit this if I didn't. Anyway, Mole seems to be dating late-stage Anna Nicole Smith.
This is my girlfriend, Muffy St. Jacques, the most beautiful woman in all of Mortville. Hi!
Muffy's played by Liz Renee, which I'm only mentioning because someone in the comments will yell at me if I don't. And because she is an amazing rack. Those things might be related. Anyway, Muffy's been lusting after recocked men, and Mole takes it personally. The new arrivals are dragged by the hard gay core to see the Queen. The Queen, who lives in a mini golf castle made of Vegas and space level set design.
You are interrupting my flow of power!
No dear, that's called peeing yourself.
Every word I ever utter is to be taken as a direct royal proclamation.
It's like Queen Carlotta learned her lines phonetically. Okay, here's my grand unifying theory of Mortville. Ginger Minj set this place up after coming second in RuPaul's Drag Race in an attempt to turn reality into a drag race game that she would never lose. This explains the fashions, the sets, the look of the town, and even her private army of nubile young men. Of course, that doesn't explain how or why eating raisins is a form of torture.
Come on, eat them! Eat them! Swallow this goddamn thing! Eat them!
But details, details, details. Maybe everyone's paid in absolute vodka.
You can lick my raw hemorrhoids, you fat pig!
Ready, aim, fire!
Now don't do it again.
That guy was a refugee from the Pink Angels. Things happen in this film, not because of rhyme or reason, but because someone realised it had been a few minutes since they'd had something that would shock middle-class people in the 70s.
You must always consider me your God. And if you ever see me on the streets, fall to your knees and shout, I honor you, Queen Carlotta!
Someone's insecure in their godhood.
I'm not responsible for your income, your living conditions, or your personal happiness.
Yes, President Trump. Anyway, the Queen sends Peggy and Griselda out to be given an ugly makeover to mark them out as subjects of Mortville.
And when you walk down the streets of Mortville, make sure you're dressed like what you really are.
Loud and proud, desperate living characters. We're here! We're queer! Or queer-coded! We're living in shit! Oh dear! I wonder how Queen Carlotta manages to have the same stylist as Todd Spango from Mom and Dad Save the World. I mean, he's an inhumanly stupid alien and she's... Okay, I'll shut up now.
You're welcome.
The Queen decides to go see her daughter, Princess Sarah Jessica Parker. There's friction because the princess has been dating a peasant, a commoner, a garbage man.
Garbage man?
I'm confused. This place is full of garbage, so wouldn't a garbage man be the equivalent of an architect or a landscaper or Anish Kapoor?
One day, all Mortville will be yours, and you must learn to rule with dignity.
I want to be queen of anywhere. Mother, I want to marry Herbert.
Cuckoo is so depressed that she tried to kill herself, but forgot that she used her shotgun for storing makeup. Her looks not helped by the fact that she's wearing a wedding cake that's been decorated with vaginas. Anyway, the princess is forbidden from seeing her boyfriend and reacts with the poise and dignity as befits her office.
No!
The Queen's played by Waters' regular Edith Massey, aka the Egg Lady, so called because she looks like one. No, that's a lie, it's because she's Dr. Robotnik. No, that's another lie, it's because she's always pregnant because she's always fucking her guards. She'd fuck other people's, but no one else has any.
Oh, Your Highness! I'm under your wrath!
Go, Daddy, go all night! Get it!
I think this scene's an attempt to make the audience asexual, and it didn't work. All it did was tell generations of hag fags that if they're lucky they might one day be able to fuck the loud, irrepressible woman they idolise, and that the invention of Vaseline was a very good call. Luckily, the scene ends before she can go full Catherine the Great and kick the shit out of any passing Ottomans.
Pretty
I want to know why Peggy's just ended up as a cougar, but Griselda appears to be every bad fashion choice Latrice Royale ever made.
Maybe you two have resigned yourselves to a subhuman life in this slum of a town, but I
will never admit that colors other than beige exist! Anyway, Peggy's endless fucking complaining inspires Muffy to tell the tale of how she ended up in Mortville.
I wasn't always like this.
Once, I was Jane Mansfield. She had a bad marriage to an alcoholic.
Every time we step out of the house, you get dead drunk.
Why can't you just save time and be dead? They arrived back from a night out to find the party from last house on Dead End Street in full swing. Good thing the vomit can only improve the decor.
Oh my God! What have you done with my baby? I don't know, I'm tripping.
It's the 70s! You're all tripping! When will Hollywood stop using the lazy tropes of children refrigerators?
Come on, bitch, eat some dog food. Eat it!
Muffy looked a bit like Jessica Lange back then, making this the shortest season of American Horror Story.
Are you crazy? Are you trying to kill her?
Why are those separate questions? She drove off into the night with her husband hanging from the car via his neck until she reached Mortville Sans' body. And she hasn't seen her son since. So it was a happy ending.
And you, Mo, what happened to you? Well, I've been in Mortville for 10 long years. And I'll tell you, it isn't very pretty what a town without pity can do.
Yeah, it can be a hit for Gene Pitney. Mole was a professional wrestler, taking part in the non-celebrity deathmatch intergender championship. How kayfabulous. Well, at least we now know what it would look like if I took up wrestling. This is basically ECW circa 1992 if they couldn't afford any weapons. So it's basically ECW circa 2001. Not being able to afford weapons means they have to get creative and crowdfund them. Listen, I think you can hear Mick Foley coming.
Mr. Sacco, yeah.
It's nothing to do with the scene though, I just bugged his house. Mole felt that he'd not sufficiently won the match just by killing his opponent, so he starts to garrote the referee. But some people just don't like winners.
That ended my professional wrestling career.
The moral of the story is that wrestling never really changed. It just got bigger and less fun and moved the literal murder to behind closed doors. Hey, you ever notice that Mole looks like a snooker player? There's probably a cut scene where he kills or fucks someone to death with a cue. And or Steve Davis. Anyway, that night, the moon's dancing. I see a better moon a-dancing. I see the shots already done. I see Mole and Muffy fucking. I see shit you can't unsee. I'm pretty sure I've already reviewed both these pornos. More than once. Sex has not looked this bad since the second Matrix film. Oh wait. Full moon to full moon.
Fuck is that now?
Oh good, the Mort Village people are on the prowl. They have a royal proclamation from Queen Cornetto and hey, a seahorse on the door of the hotel. Male seahorses are the ones that get pregnant. I think that's an attempt to be clever. Anyway, the Queen's decided that everyone has to wear their clothes backwards and walk backwards. Why? To amuse the tourists. I hear the people who stay at Colonial Williamsburg have to do the same thing when the guy playing the governor goes nuts. You might wonder how Charlotta keeps power here. Well, Mortville's an oparchy, a city ruled by shouting. Anyway, Mole and Muffy are starving.
I'd eat anything. I know, Mo. I'm so hungry I could eat cancer.
I'm so hungry I could eat Muffy, but I wouldn't enjoy it. Luckily, the cat takes pity on them and decides to share his kill. Over at the castle, Queen Cunt Lotta is wearing a pile of curtains.
Excuse me, Your Highness, but Princess Cuckoo has just escaped from a royal bedroom.
She what? Why, that ungrateful little whippersnapper?
She escaped by shinnying down this rope of sheets.
On backwards day yet?
Queen Carlotta with the voice of an angel made of burgers and kitsch. Dunno why she's so angry. She was told to stay and therefore she left. It was just an unusual interpretation of the backwards day rules.
Damn it!
So, where'd she run off to? Oh, just to the hippie version of the Unashamed. All those nudists are in boots, absolutely no dedication.
Herbert!
Cuckoo! Oh, Coo, I worship the ground you walk on.
Now, I don't want to say that all the men in this are small cocks, but so far Mole has the biggest, and he hasn't got one yet.
I love you, Cuckoo.
Oh, Herbert, I masturbated 14 times last night just thinking of you.
And for maximum realism, I used my little finger.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Well, he died as he lived, without me giving a fuck about him. Peggy, Griselda, Muffy and Mole escape into a local club. Nothing weird about it, just a club with some whipping. Man, the 70s were easily shocked. Anyway, Peggy needs a really loud and angry pee.
Oh no! No! Stop it! No! Oh God, no! No, stop it! Leave me alone!
She's going to an even rapier Narnia. To get to the toilets, you need to face the sexual assault sphinx. They don't ask questions. Instead, you have to let them molest you 3 times. Looks like Lucifer Valentine fans have their own little commune in Mortville.
Oh God, you don't! God, leave me alone!
I want to
go away! Please, go away! Ah! Oh God! Oh please, just go away! Just leave me alone!
Peggy, she's getting fucked in the other stall. It's not always about you! Since Mink Stole is clearly too sexy for a lesbian bar, Peggy and Griselda head home before the real fun begins. I assaulted a girl and I liked it. Because the plot continues to happen at random, the lottery ticket was a winner. Queen Carlotta decides to visit her subjects, held aloft by her Judas priestesses. I wonder how they got her and her litter out of the castle without removing the wall.
Hi, stupid! Hi, ugly!
Hi, projection! Hi, horrific mass of neon!
That senile old cunt. I wish I had a rifle with a telescopic lens on it.
I beat her to death with it! Why a telescopic lens, though? She's a very big target.
God damn it, who's do that?
You know when you've been Joffreyed.
Disrespect like that and no one's being killed? This regime is hanging by a really ugly thread. She's like Ceausescu in a fat suit and it's Christmas 1989. Anyway, in the confusion after the murder earlier on, Princess Cuckoo dragged her boyfriend's carcass to Peg and Griselda's room. My honest guess is that room just attracts corpses.
I don't want some renegade necrophile princess as my roommate.
Renegade Necrophile Princess. Well, that's a great title for a slice of life anime. Peggy screams to the guards that the princess is in her room, allowing Griselda to demonstrate the power of fat woman strength. It's like the building was made out of a very disappointed souffle. Part of me thinks that was an accident and they just ran with it. The rest of me agrees.
Look, baby, I gotta get my ass into Baltimore to claim our money and do some shopping. All right, then. Lock those doors and don't fuck any men.
I have to tell Alistair that every time I leave the building, too. Teddy, too, but that's so he doesn't feel left out. Okay, Queen Lotta Carl's getting a striptease, but I can't tell if the guy's really not into it or just medicated. I'm also getting a flash forward to Julia Roberts in Mirror Mirror of all things.
Yeah. Oh, I see London. Oh, I see France. Oh, spread those legs, baby.
Please pardon our dress. I'm afraid my valet and I were robbed by bandits as we entered your kingdom.
Oh, yes, sirree, a Hollywood loaf. Come on, that love muscle, I want to see it.
What?
You're a wicked little boy, getting me all heated up, aren't you?
Could I trouble you for a covering? Perhaps a shirt?
If you must.
If only I had a little pink button to push that could wipe out this town. Tell me, is it possible to get me a hydrogen bomb?
Hey, Carlotta, you start by nuking places very far away from your flimsy cardboard castle. If you start off by nuking yourself, how are you going to tell your underlings to nuke your enemies?
How about germ warfare? Do you know anything about that?
You mean poisoning the population?
That's better than nukes, but you'll still be left with no one to queen over. Seriously, this is like Chapter 3 in the Idiot's Guide to Not Fucking Up Your Dictatorship. Admittedly, I wrote that, and 95% of it is photographs of me in various states of undress, because how better to placate an angry populace, really? So Cuckoo is going to be punished for being stripped of her title and gang raped by the Blue Oyster Barman. That's just a horrific punishment for everyone involved.
Seize her and fuck her!
I think I've already seen this porno, too.
Anyway, Peggy finishes her heel-to-heel turn when she decides to work for Queen Carlsberg Lotta in her efforts to destroy the town.
Only the rich should be allowed to live.
The Garbage Queen is set on becoming the Queen of Garbage, and nothing else.
Your first duty will be to help my soldiers spread rabies to everyone in town. Do you think you can handle that?
Oh, yes, Your Majesty.
Yes, Your Majesty, I'm glad you realize that I'm secretly a biochemist of some kind, because no one in the audience did. Nah, she probably learned about it on Pinterest. That shit goes viral on there. You might be wondering what's happened to Griselda. Well, she had a building fall on her, and unlike everyone else who was inside said building, she was killed. Ah, shit, Mortville's looking worse every time I see it. Oh no, false alarm, that's Baltimore. Mole collects the winnings from the lottery ticket, ready to splurge out in a present for him and Muffy, a new cock. That sign is the best piece of set decoration I've seen since after last season's paper MRI machine. Plus, only the world's most realistic hospitals have screen doors. He has a knife and intends to use it to facilitate his surgery.
Come on, bitch, cut these tits off!
Pretty sure that most trans people with access to knives are a bit more likely to use them on themselves because of horrible shit than other people. Oh hey, how did Waters get himself from 2004 to come back in time to play the surgeon?
If you don't give me the sex change, I'll cut off your Peter and sew it on me myself.
Anyway, this just strikes me as a bad plan. I mean, he's going to have to be anesthetized at some point, and then they'll just be able to run away.
I'll see what I can do, madam.
Madam? Well, you're shit at your job!
Well, howdy, Miss Muffy!
The operation apparently a success, and Mole celebrates by buying a pimp suit made of salami and vulvas. Nice suit if you can get it. And if you get it, won't you tell me how? He's also bought her a new bra, a mink coat, a dress that says, I married my third husband and I'm planning on fucking my stepson. A gun, and lastly, the big one.
A chihuahua!
No, but it might look like one if you squint. I don't know what she's complaining about. It looks about as realistic as Michelle Rodriguez's in Assignment. Though he probably should have waited for it to heal before jamming it up anyone. Anyway, given her screaming in terror and desperate flailing, I'd suggest that you all take a shot. Preferably non-consensually and from a dick.
You're sick, Mo! You're a weirdo pervert!
Muffy, rather loudly, tells him to cut it off, therefore leaving him with an inch about as angry as he is.
It'll be like having a Barbie doll crotch out. Oh, when I get through with these stitches, it'll be close enough in my book.
Over at the castle, Malefink Stoll is brewing up some rabies to unleash on the population. With the job complete, she injects Princess Cuckoo to make her patient zero. With all those stitches, he's gonna be left with a Frankenweenie! Anyway, the wailing is interrupted by some townsfolk who found Cuckoo, including Valerie Salinas here, who I assume got lost looking for Andy Warhol.
How many times we gotta tell you men are genetic rejects, and all that gristle they got hanging down between their legs was God's first big mistake?
Not usually that big.
They, the Antifa, Fae, super soldiers, decide to do the irrational thing and storm the fucking castle. Honestly, I'm shocked that no one tried that before. They, the mostly lesbian revolution, will overthrow Queen Fag Hagan and her quasi-gay guard. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is what everyone's scared Tumblr will lead to one day.
You know you horny pigs aren't supposed to come cruising around a castle.
Okay, that was the wrong end of the knife, but it works. They get inside and quickly gun down a bunch of guards having an orgy. And nothing of value was lost. I really want to know how they managed to find an entire outfit made of Vantablack for Peggy. Must be magic. Anyway, they kill their way to Carlotta's room.
Get out of my chambers, lesbian!
Hey, you want the room? Give it orders, meatball!
Cuckoo bites her mum, passing on her rabies, and they decide to blow Peggy's mind, right after her ass, intestines, stomach, and the rest.
A single gunshot can never destroy the beauty of fascism!
It did in 1945.
Oh, please! out your ass!
Muffy's declared the new queen, and Carlotta's roasted up for a feast for the whole town, because, like the Aerosmith song says, eat the rich, even if it'll spread the rabies to you and you'll probably kill everyone.
The darkness must go down the river of night streaming.
I'm thinking that after everyone was killed by contracting Carlotta's rabies, the whole town became kind of a landmark, like Jonestown for the really stupid. And with the eventual Sea of Corpses, it turns out that Mortville's really well named. How to sum up this film? Like all John Waters films, it's basically a posher trauma. Desperate Living is actually one of my favourite John Waters films. It's like a really twisted fairy tale with lots to say about gender and sexuality. Not all of it makes sense, or is any good, but it has lots to say regardless. Some of the lines were fucking amazing. Mortville was vibrant as fuck, like a quilt made of derangement and whatever shit they found in a skip. The film probably should have been a star-making role for Mink Stole. Pity she's mainly limited to John Waters films and bits and low-budget queerish shit. So yeah, I really like this film. It's horrifying, but it's supposed to be. Some films age badly as tastes change. Desperate Living just got more Desperate Living as the 70s stuff just became part of the general air of crazy. Much of the queer stuff stayed as shocking as the day it was made, just the reasons for the shock changed. Overall, there aren't many films that you can see with nearly the same eyes as the first audiences decades ago, but this is one of them. So yeah, I did not hate this, but don't worry, I'm pretty sure I'll hate the next Patreon request. And minions! Someone be a good kid and drop some tear gas into my study?
I can get used to this. Maybe I'll tell the mistress she has another review to do when she's finished this one. That'll give me some more time to enjoy this. What's that smell? Hey, let me out! Let me out! There's something going on in here! Hey!
Sorry, Patreon minion! I expect a fully scripted, filmed and edited review of that tear gas on my desk in the morning. And given the fact that my desk is in there with you and there's no filming equipment in there, I expect you to get creative! You should probably laugh.
You heard that? That was your boyfriend, motherfucker. You hear this? This is you.